Good morning, my brothers and sisters, and all my friends. I welcome you to sail on the second river of this holy conference, the trilogy of three sciences, Brahm Vidya, Madhu Vidya, and Gupta Vidya, which gives us the greatest science, the evolutionary science of existence and life, and that is Bharat Vidya. We completed the first one, Brahm Vidya, and this morning we are starting Madhu Vidya. Madhu Vidya has a Brahma Vakya, what is known as Brahma Vakya, that when you describe a whole phenomena or the whole field of that science, as we say, physics, biology, chemistry, we must reach to, when we study that discipline, that science, we meditate upon it, we contemplate upon it, and we must reach to one word, Brahma Vakya, and that is the word of God. And that must define and describe the whole science, the whole pursuit of that discipline, the knowledge and wisdom. So as we discovered the Brahma Vakya, the word of God, the word of Brahm Vidya was know thyself. That was the sacred mantra around which is the center, the nucleus of the consciousness of the whole discipline of Brahm Vidya goes around that sacred mantra, know thyself. So that is the Brahma Vakya. The sentence comes from the God. Then, what is the Brahma Vakya for Madhu Vidya? I don't want to take away your excitement. As we go along, we will discover many things about Brahma Vidya, the whole science of evolutionary wisdom. Of Madhu Vidya, the second stream, the second holy river. But it will give you a good idea where we are going, what's our destination through this Brahma Vakya. And Madhu Vidya has this Brahma Vakya. Gaon Ram hai. The town, the village, the nation, the community is the God. It's so beautifully enshrined in the rustic wisdom of rural India, which comes from the tradition of the Rishi, Munis, and the forest dwellers who used to seek the wisdom and follow the Satya Dharma, the Dharma of truth, which had the proclamation Satyat Nasti Paro Dharma, there is no religion greater than the truth. So, Madhu Vidya also has a Brahma Vakya, and that Brahma Vakya is Gaon Ram hai. That's rustic wisdom. And we could say, in other words, the unity is the God. Through unity, we could reach to the God. But we are mistaken if we ever think that only through Brahma Vidya I could reach to the God. No, my dear brothers and sisters, we cannot. And if we believe so, we are sailing against the current of the evolutionary wisdom, the evolutionary river. Unity is God. So it says in the rustic wisdom of rural India, which is the direct derivative of the great civilization, the Rishi civilization, the Vedic civilization of India, which said, Gaon Ram hai, the village is the God. When the village is existing, when every village man and woman and child are existing as one heart and one mind, the God appears. Lord Rama appears in that village. The emergence of Rama, the whole science and whole discipline of the modern science, the phenomena of emergence, what we call emergence phenomena, the emergent novelty, which was not existing before. But with the dynamic unity, with the establishment of the dynamic harmony of all the constituents of their hearts and minds, that unity will create a novel property, will create a novelty. The great mathematician and the great philosopher and the great scientist, Alfred Whitehead, he talked about novel properties. So through the dynamic unity, we could help the emergence of novelty, novel character, a novel property which was not existing before in the whole universe. That is the power of unity. And that is what the sacred mantra of Madhu Vidya is, that unity is the God. My dear brothers and sisters, the threshold from subtle to material, from quantum to the classic reality, as we know, that when the wave is collapsed, we know that wave has two characters, two behaviors. It behaves like a particle and it behaves like a wave. But when we observe and we measure, and through our quantum observation, this quantum observation creates the collapse of the wave function, and we create a particle. So a particle is created. That particle is like jumping over this from subtle to classical reality, the quantum to classical reality, the material reality. So that's atom. Once these particles come in unity with each other and create the dynamic harmony and the unity of each other and all the forces and all the spins, a novel character is born, which was not existing before. And an atom is born. That atom has its own spin, its own electron, and its own orbits around the nucleus. And then there is a progression of this unity till the last of the universe, till the last of the infinity. This is the progression of this unity. And then all these spins and all these electrons and all these orbits and all these different atoms, they also create the unity, their own family, their own community, their own field of action, and their own field of aspiration, evolutionary aspiration, their own field of the evolutionary urge. And everyone has the same urge to exist in harmony and peace and bring out the divine characters. And this evolutionary aspiration and the evolutionary urge brings them together in this great harmony, and they bring out a new novel character. And a molecule is born. And when these different molecules again find their like-minded other molecules which are also striving and aspiring and which has the same kind of urge, evolutionary urge, they again establish the dynamic unity and harmony of their existence and their atoms. And when that becomes a reality, a new emergence of the new property and a novel property, and a Rama is born, and a Lord is born, and God is born. A new property which was not existing in the whole universe, it comes out. Then this progression goes on, when becoming bigger and bigger, and there is this threshold of this dynamic unity where the life emerges in this unity. In the unity of a cell, the constituents of the cell and all the atoms and all the molecules, when they exist in this great aspiration, one unity of their evolutionary aspiration and the evolutionary urge, and when they exist together in great harmony, life is born and the cell becomes alive. When the cell becomes alive, my dear brothers and sisters, the progression goes on, and the cell will find another cell or divide itself to have the same kind of aspiring offsprings and generations, and they will unite again and form a new organism. And this is how this progression, the multicellular organisms are born, and the new life and new forms and new characters and new properties are born. Ekta, He Ishwar hai. As we say, the truth is God. The same way we can say unity is God. So unity is displayed progressively and expressed through the phenomena of emergence, the novel characters and novel properties which were not existing before. My dear brothers and sisters, I would like to give you an example of the magnetism. When we introduce magnetism to just a piece of iron, a simple piece of iron which doesn't have the properties of the magnetism, and we bring it together with a permanent magnet. This permanent magnet, when it touches, and when the simple iron piece comes in contact with this permanent magnet, what happens to this simple piece of iron? This permanent magnet induces and transfers its novelty to the piece of iron. And all the atoms in that piece of iron will arrange in a definite pattern, and they will create a harmony, and they will create a unity in the whole being of that piece of iron, which didn't have any kind of magnetism before. And my dear brothers and sisters, it becomes a magnet. That's the power of not the power. I'm not going to try to tell you that the power of the other magnet. The power of the other magnet is only the power of induction or the power of a guru. But the real magnetism comes out of the harmony of those atomic structure, those atoms within that piece of iron. Until that harmony and that atomic pattern is there, it will always show the magnetism, the property of magnetism, a new emergence of a new property. When this harmony is destroyed, there is no magnetism left. So the novel property depends on the dynamic unity and the harmony of its atoms and its patterns. My dear brothers and sisters, this novel property can also go away, can be destroyed if there is no harmony. So what it shows, that the unity has to be perpetual, the unity has to be eternal to maintain life, to maintain that novel property. And that time there is no harmony in those atoms, we drop the body and we die, because there is no life. Same way as the piece of that iron, the time the unity of its atoms is destroyed and the harmony is destroyed, it loses its novel property of magnetism. My dear brothers and sisters, so the unity has to be dynamic, eternal, perpetual, and it has to be maintained. How could we maintain that? There is a great phenomenon in physics, the phenomenon of entropy. And when the entropy increases, chaos happens. The whole thing becomes chaotic, disarray, and there is no harmony, disharmony. And everything is in the state of chaos. So somebody has to arrest this entropy. There has to be some kind of Shiv Sankalpa, the intention, somebody has to make the resolution. And somebody has to have that dynamics and those dominant, empowered with the willpower, empowered with the great vision, the destination towards divinity. And when this entity exercises the power of the will and dominance and takes the dominion, that is known as negentropy, the agent which creates negentropy. So to arrest the entropy, the chaos, we need to create the field of negentropy. My dear brothers and sisters, the life principle created the field of negentropy, the perpetual unity and harmony in this universe. And wherever it exists, life exists. So the life principle, when discovered this great phenomena of negentropy and the field of negentropy, which only could arrest this entropy, the chaos in the universe, then it wanted to establish an eternity, a perpetual continuation, the eternal continuum of this negentropy, this field of negentropy. That became life. So our genetic legacy, our genetic heritage is born out of this aspiration to maintain the unity forever. In order to maintain the life, in order to maintain those novel characters, novel properties, the novel emergence and novel field, the divine field of Rama, Gam, Rama. The village is God, village is Rama. The unity is God. My dear brothers and sisters, 21st century calls upon every human being, every group of nation or every community and every tribe, every state, every place, every territory calls for the greatest unity. We need to create the global unity of our hearts and minds to move towards the Godhood, the divine human beings. Until we don't create that unity, the global harmony of our hearts and minds, and we shade away this separatism, these boundaries, and we shade away our ignorance of this law, And this illusion of Maya that we are separate. We are not separate. We are one. Because through our local consciousness, we are condemned to live in this box as the prisoners of this box, this human body which gives us a feeling that we are separate from others, but we are not. We have to cultivate the non-local consciousness, the cosmic consciousness, the universal consciousness through universal empathy and love and unconditional, all-inclusive compassion for each other on the humanity, on the planet, and 21st century. And if we could create the global unity of our hearts and minds, believe me, we will cross over the threshold from animal existence and the human existence to the divine human existence, and a God will be born progressively through this unity. The 8th incarnation of Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, gave us the core message of his whole teachings and everything. And that core message, the Brahm Vidya, is enshrined. The whole philosophy of Krishna is enshrined in this Vakya, Vasudev Kutumbkam, the family of God. And this we have to create through our own hard work. My dear brothers and sisters, where nature stops, we begin. The human beings begin. The nature is stopped, made us immortal genetically, perpetually keeping that life principle alive, the field of lycanthropy. But we have to go beyond nature and take the next step to create the global harmony and the unity of our hearts and minds into the divine family, the family of God, the great Vasudev Kutumbkam. And believe me, my promise, if we ever do that, we will display the greatest divine qualities of the humanity. And it is possible. We could do that. And if you ever have doubt, please do read. You could Google out. It's so easy nowadays. You could Google out and write metamaterials. There is a material science, the branch of physics, applied physics, where you can write metamaterial. The whole phenomena of metamaterials depends on this. And the new novelties and the new materials are created every day in the laboratories. My dear brothers and sisters, this is what the Madhu Vidya is. We have to create unity. And without this Madhu Vidya, without this unity, the field of dynamic unity and harmony, Brahm Vidya is condemned to live forever, exist forever as a divided house. So Brahm Vidya per se won't take us to the divine station. So my dear brothers and sisters, be careful about the Brahm Vidya, because Brahm Vidya ends up with the wisdom arrogance, and it cannot digest till it doesn't have the help of innocence and trust. So we have to learn, we have to keep the innocence with us of a child, where we don't separate people because of the color, caste and creed and all kind of judgments and all kind of judgmental mentality which creates the duality, and duality ends into the separate and divided house. So we have to take the help of our great character and the evolutionary station of innocence and trust, trusting each other, and we have to create the family of God on earth, the Vasudev Kutumbkam. And then we could hope and aspire to go beyond the 21st century. Otherwise we are condemned to live like the divided house, and we may commit a suicide, global suicide in 21st century, and at the end of the story of the whole humanity and the evolution. Be careful, and we have to take, everyone must take this bodhisattva vow that we will create the unity of hearts and minds of everybody, the global unity of one house the one man, one God, and one earth, the global unity of our hearts and minds, the Vasudev Kutumbkam, the family of God. Thank you very much and have a very, very beautiful day, my brothers and sisters.